And today, the Trump administration is reportedly launching cyber attacks on Iran and has just announced a new round of sanctions as well. This comes just days after President Trump called off airstrikes on Iran following the downing of the U.S. drone over the Strait of Hormuz. For more on this developing story, let's turn now to RT producer Sayeh Tavangar. She's joining us in studio. So, Sayeh, what more do we know about the newest sanctions?
Right. So just this afternoon, President Trump signed an executive order imposing more sanctions on Iran, including its supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Now, the sanctions are meant to deny Iran's supreme leader and those closely affiliated with him to access to key financial resources and support. Now, the assets of Ayatollah Khamenei will not be spared from these sanctions. And here is Secretary Steve Mnuchin announcing the sanctions in more detail. Manila.
Along with our existing sanctions authority, we have additional sanctions to go after the Supreme Leader's office and lock up literally billions of dollars more of assets. Along with that action today, we are also announcing specific actions targeting those responsible for recent activities.
Now, Mnuchin also said Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif would also be sanctioned later this week. Now, keep in mind that a large portion of Iran's economy is already subjected to sanctions. Iran's oil sector, banking, steel, even pistachios, which Iran is the world's largest producer of, have already been significantly hit. So freezing the assets of the top Iranian officials is what remains to be left in Washington's pressure campaign against Iran.
Pressure is right. Now, Iran also says that they've prevented a recent cyber attack by the U.S. What do we know about this cyber attack?
Yes, Manila, exactly. According to Iran officials, the U.S. military cyber forces launched a strike against Iranian military systems as a response to Iran's downing of the U.S. drone. The cyber attack seemed to be a contingency plan developing amid all the escalating tensions, aimed at disabling Iranian computer system that control its rocket and missile launchers. This is what Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Abbas Mousavi had to say about the cyber attacks.
Admitting to the U.S. military cyber attacks against Iranian military computer systems and announcing it, if it is their official stance, shows that they have made a big mistake and have conducted a cyber operation contrary to international law against an independent government. It is liable to be sued, and we will use this confession as the basis of our legal work against them.
Iranian officials also announced earlier today that the cyber attacks have failed, but interestingly, earlier today hinted that they would be willing to discuss new concessions with Washington if the U.S. were to lift sanctions. But at this point, especially after the new round of sanctions that were just released, this seems very unlikely, Manila.
Yeah, and then also we have Pompeo and Bolton, who are both in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, I believe. What are they hoping to get accomplished there?
Well, Pompeo just left Saudi Arabia, and he was there with the king to discuss ways to counter the Iranian influence in the region. In fact, even before heading to the Middle East, Pompeo said that the trip was aimed to rally a front against Iran. Pompeo has just left Saudi Arabia, is now headed to the United Arab Emirates. So this whole trip is aimed at building a coalition against Iran as a pressure campaign by the U.S. to bring Iran back to the table and to get the terms that the U.S. is satisfied with. Because even though President Trump did not take any military action against Iran after the downing of the U.S. drone, the economy campaign pressure continues. John Bolton, on the other hand, is currently in Jerusalem meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Russian security advisors as the U.S. and Israel try to convince Russia to join them in reining in Iran, although now that seems very unlikely since Russia just announced that they would take steps to counter the new sanctions. In fact, Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov was quoted as saying that Russia considers these new sanctions illegal. So it's not yet clear whether Russia will join the pressure campaign against Iran.
Yeah, still a whole lot of moving parts. RT producer Sayeh Tavangar, thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.